how we find our stories, how we track down the people we need to talk to, and what it takes to uncover the truth. Well, this brings us to our Reporter's Notebook, where we pull back the curtain on how journalism really works. Our Morgan Romero spent a month investigating a local contractor. Well, then he got arrested. Bring in Morgan now. Morgan, the big question I have for you right now is just how did you find about the story?
Yeah, I mean, oftentimes a lot of people come to us with story ideas. We seek out story ideas, but people also tip us off on our 7 Investigates email address, which is always really helpful. We appreciate that. But I heard from several alleged victims. They reached out about this guy, Seth Waddell. He's a local contractor, and I saw people posting about it on social media. So that really set off a red flag in my brain, and I said, this is something we need to look into, because quite frankly, we do hear about contractors all the time. And in Idaho, in a fast-growing area where a lot of people are hiring contractors right now, you hear about these shady individuals, right, who are taking people's money and not doing or finishing work. And so that's what played out here. And so I talked to a lot of people. I started digging around. I got the phone numbers for several alleged victims, and I talked to several of them for days. I then went on and I interviewed some of these alleged victims. I was told and given a list of 30 names of alleged victims, like spanning all across.
30 people going through this.
30 people going through this in the state of Idaho, southwest Idaho, allegedly, right? At this point, he has been charged. He has not been convicted in this case. But all that to say, I talked to all these people. I filed public records requests for police reports. I got a lot of records from the Ada County Sheriff's Office in other cases as well. People sent me screenshots of messages, of conversations that they had with this individual. I also looked up previous court cases that Seth Waddell had been involved in, small claims cases that people had taken him to small claims court over, and civil cases as well in Idaho.
It's like the list is unraveling.
Yes.
It's unfortunate that this many people are having to suffer before, you know, some of this starts to get covered.
Totally.
You know, I also want to know, what did you find out? How are homes and business owners, what are they saying that he did?
Yeah, so really what they say, and this is kind of his MO across the board, is what they're alleging, is that he would ask people to sign a contract. He'd ask for a deposit, which was half of what they owed. So for example, if he was going to build you a deck and it was going to cost you 40 grand, he'd ask for 20 grand up front for materials, right?
Yeah.
There is no law explicitly stating in Idaho what a contractor is and is not allowed to do. I will say, quite frankly, I'm going through a process right now where I haven't had to pay my contractor anything. And he's started the work, and his subcontractors have started the work. So anyway, for people, that was between $10,000 and one woman, $200,000 she paid.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. So it like spans the gamut of the amount of money that people had given this guy. And they say they would text him, they would call him, he wouldn't respond, he would come up with excuses.
Ghosted.
Ghosted, exactly. Yeah. And eventually they said, you know what, this isn't normal. I give up. I'm going to file a complaint with the Attorney General's office, with the Idaho Division of Occupational and Professional Licenses, which they did. Several of them also filed police reports, because at the end of the day, he was charged with 3 counts of felony grand theft. And so they did have a big case, law enforcement, to present to prosecutors to be able to prove that this is what they're accusing him of doing. And one of those individuals who filed a police report is a man who lives in Boise with his family, Sam Rolifson. Take a listen.
We know of at least 30 people that are personally victims of Seth Waddell and similar practices. Either he did partial work, or he didn't do, in our case, any work at all and just absconded with the money. People are strapped for money, and they've saved up, you know, and oftentimes their whole life to get just a project done for their house. And instead of coming home to a remodeled deck or a new kitchen, they now have to eat this cost because someone decided just to leave with the money and steal it.
Yeah, makes me feel pretty cynical, you know, like you can't trust people.
It is so unfortunate because there are so many good contractors out there too.
There's trustworthy people out there.
Yeah.
But this is a bad situation.
Yes, exactly. And Rolifson says, you know, like he mentioned, in our case, they didn't do any work at all. In some people's cases, another individual I talked to, he did some of the work in this video you're seeing right here. They hired a different company, so this is all from a different company. But Waddell's company came out and actually demoed the deck, but then didn't come back after that, which was unsafe, right? So Seth Waddell, I did discover, worked in Washington State before Idaho. I dug into labor records there showing he has multiple unpaid liens, lawsuits, and license violations in Washington State. Interestingly, of note, in Idaho, complaints are not public, but discipline is if that ever occurs. So I will be watching to see if the board at the Idaho Division of Occupational and Professional Licensing takes any action against Waddell and his companies in the coming months.
I mean, that's incredible, one, to look outside the state, right? Because you think everybody just stays local, but it's not the case.
No.
Obviously, could potentially be running from something.
Exactly.
So I think we also mentioned earlier that Waddell was arrested. So the big question, when did that happen and what's that process look like?
Yeah, so that happened in mid-December, and you mentioned that I'd been working on the story for a month. I was planning on turning it this month, and then when he got arrested, I said, we need to expedite this process and get this story out here. So he was charged with 3 counts of grand theft, as I mentioned. Today, actually, we were in court as he had his preliminary hearing, but it was rescheduled for January 28th. This is video of that virtual hearing. His defense attorney mentioned they have a lot of evidence to go through, and the state is, quote, screening for more victims in this case.
Okay, so you've also posted this on social media.
Yeah.
Sounds like a lot of feedback from that as well. Have you heard from other victims potentially?
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
I've heard from a lot of people, Facebook, email, TikTok, Instagram, so many people messaging me saying the same thing happened to them. And not only are they accusing Seth Waddell, but I'm hearing from a lot of people about other contractors in Idaho too. So this is a seemingly rampant systemic problem that I'm actually looking into right now, and I will be interviewing Idaho DOPL as well as a local business attorney to talk about what homeowners can do to protect themselves from shady things, and then also if Idaho, maybe the legislature, can take any steps to protect homeowners as well.
I think that's the biggest question, and as you keep unfolding all of these layers, I think that's the big question that even me as a homeowner, I want to know. How do you stay like aware and away from those kind of contractors?
It's super important, and right now, especially as people just choose to stay in their homes because our housing market is so expensive. So many people are doing home projects, and it's so important that a lot of these homeowners are saying, just spend the money to do a background check on these folks, look at other states that they've lived. I'll have all of that in an upcoming story.
Yeah, Morgan, thank you.
Yeah, you bet.